You're listening to Edge Radio TV. The views and opinions expressed in this program are that of the hosts or guests, and not the Edge Radio Network or its advertisers or affiliates.
Welcome, my edgy entrepreneurs. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm Jen Coleman-Ayers, and you're watching the Edgy Entrepreneur on Edge Radio TV Network. Today, I have a special guest again. Rob Smith is back. We had such a good time the first time.
We did.
Yeah, that here you are again.
Yeah.
So I'm excited. He decided he was going to flip the tables on me, so it's just going to kind of be a little bit of banter and kind of hear a little bit about me and what I do in my world and what is the Edgy Entrepreneur. So
absolutely.
You've been busy though since we've talked last. So tell us kind of what's
busy.
Up with you and what's been going on, Rob.
Sure. So first of all, thanks again for having me back.
Absolutely.
Apparently I didn't screw it up last time. So
and you're right. My finger off.
Yeah.
No.
my idea was, because you gave me the opportunity to talk a lot about what I do last time, and I'm going to flip it.
Yeah.
And
there's so much. I don't even know where to start. It's yeah.
Absolutely. So it's been like a month and some change maybe since we were together?
I believe so. Yes.
Yeah.
Somewhere in there. A lifetime.
Yeah,
in this new world, period.
5 or 6 weeks for sure. So tell me, how has your kind of practice evolved?
Man.
Since you started? Because it sounds like there's been some twists and turns and maybe following stuff down a certain rat hole that you didn't expect.
There has. And my Edgy Entrepreneurs, this started out as sharpen your entrepreneurial edge during COVID. So,
right. Nice.
So, even just the name in and of itself has been an evolution. And this started in my living room, really during COVID. And it was just that desire and that burning, like, I've got to do something. I can't just sit here and not do anything. And I was fortunate enough when I launched my graphic design business in 2013 in the Woodlands. It's just an amazing community of people.
That is, absolutely.
So I was very fortunate enough to meet the Dawn Candies and the Randy Lovelaces and the Monette Smiths and just these people that are still sustainable. They're still leaders who I consider leaders in our community. So I wanted to kind of just bring them together and let's talk. Yeah. Let's talk to people and figure out, how are you doing this? How are you getting through this? Brought in my professor, Jerome Duran, who taught me so much about business when, I was launching Spry. So that's how this started. And then here we are.
Yeah.
And I'm like, God took it and ran with it.
So you've got this little project and then you do coaching as well?
I do. Yes. So there's some coaching in there. And that's really been forever. I was a money coach. So I taught people how to save and how to pay themselves first. Those are difficult conversations when you talk about money.
Absolutely.
Those are sensitive subjects. So
you have to establish a bunch of trust.
Yes.
with the client in that space.
Very true. Very true. And I was fortunate enough in that aspect. I had some great training. I had some great mentors through the whole Forward Financial Group. Pastor Gary. He just was a wonderful mentor, and it was a ministry to get in and to talk to people about paying themselves first. You don't have to live paycheck to paycheck. Like money coaching to, final expenses. Lost a girlfriend in there, had to pass a hat. So that led me into final expenses and annuities, because it's way more fun to save money than it is to spend. And when you're putting that in, I want to see some growth with it.
Yeah.
So that, and then here we are, like business strategy, business coach, just because I've done it.
Right.
You know, I like to get in there, like we were talking down having coffee. Like
Right.
I like to get in there and roll my sleeves up and really get strategic.
Change the world.
Absolutely.
all
Yeah.
at once.
Somebody change the world all at once. Okay, fine. Okay, fine. We'll start with something
baby
at a time.
steps, right.
Baby steps. Yeah, for sure.
So
Which
what
is so
does
not me.
what does an ideal client look for or look like to you now?
A decision maker, business builder.
Okay.
So I just keep, you know, I have all these amazing tools in my toolbox. And my passion is really to show the business owner, the business builder, how to stop working in their business, and how to work on it, you know, how to really grow so that you're building out that legacy. You know, most business owners, and you know this, like they don't have a 1-year plan, much less
like a 3 or 5 year plan.
like much less a 3 or 5 year plan. And then how are they going to get there?
Right.
You know, what do those steps look like? So I partnered with Solid Business Solutions to provide that solution.
Okay.
You know, my cousin's got 20 plus years in this industry and is just brilliant. Robert, I'm not talking about you, just so don't get a big old head there. No.
Gotta make sure you qualify that, right?
Right. No, okay, yes. I am talking, no, Robert, he is amazing. You know, as far as that goes, and being able to tailor to the business needs so that we can structure it and build it as they're building.
Yeah.
I love that.
No, it's awesome that you can be that flexible and
Yes.
you know, kind of attack, you know, whatever it is that needs attention
Yes.
right out of the gate. And I think, you know, you said it just now. A lot of times I engage with a client or a business owner whenever, you know, they get stuck in the business, right? They got to be working on the business.
Yes.
So very freeing, I would imagine.
Yes.
For the business owner to kind of make that transition. And
is it?
my practices, well, I mean, my practice is really kind of focused. Yours is a lot more broad. So I mean, you get to see a lot of other stuff that I don't necessarily wallow around in.
For sure. Yes. And it's fear, you know, I mean, even that's where the money coach comes in, you know, is having those tough conversations. There's, you know, fear of letting go. You know, you ask kind of
loss of control.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those
it's
kind of
my
feelings.
baby. Nobody's going to take care of it. Like I'm going to take care of it.
Yeah. And you get to tell them that their baby's ugly sometimes, right?
No, your baby is never ugly. There's always something beautiful about your baby.
Breathtaking.
There's always something beautiful. But yet to kind of deconstruct that for sure of
absolutely.
Like, you know, okay, might need a little lotion. we might need to switch the brand of Pampers or the brand of diet, you know,
right,
just,
different kind of
tweaking.
formula.
Yes. Yeah, for sure. But that's the cool part. I mean, and being able to present people with options that they can see past, you know, payroll next week.
Yeah.
I mean, I have so many friends that I go and visit and I'm like, what are you doing? Like, why are you running around? Oh, I'm doing this and doing this. And I'm like, you don't need to do that. Like
right.
You need to relinquish control at some point, guys. There really are people out there that specialize. I mean, yeah, you're an amazing example. Like what you do coming in, like there are so many people out there that specialize in what they're good at.
Yeah,
and you just
absolutely.
Build a team based on that.
Yeah.
And that's a beautiful just symmetry. And then everything opens up.
So we were talking about this a little earlier, you know, the different, lots of coaches, right?
Lots of coaches,
but
yes.
everybody kind of does different stuff. What's your differentiator?
For sure. I don't really like to be nice. No.
All right. What does that mean?
I mean, I'm kind of, you know, I've done it. I pull the ripcord on the way down. So I love to push people, you know,
Okay.
I'm a cheerleader.
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll
Direct?
talk a little bit about that on the flip side.
Okay.
So we'll come back. I got to think on that one. Like, how much do I want to reveal?
Won't make you share any secrets.
Right, yeah. Right. My edgy entrepreneurs, thank you so much for sticking around and watching this. Hearing just a little bit about the evolution of what you're watching and how this is, and really kind of what my purpose is and my vision with this. So stick around. We'll see you on the flip side, and we'll be right back after this commercial. Welcome back, my edgy entrepreneurs. Thank you so much. I'm Jen Coleman-Ayers, and you are watching the Edgy Entrepreneur on Edge Radio TV. Today, we're kind of flipping the tables with my friend and guest, Rob Smith, talking about Edgy Entrepreneur and what is an Edgy Entrepreneur.
And what you're up to, And,
yes.
Yeah.
A lot of irons in the fire.
Yeah.
Yes.
Tell me about some of them.
I just am I'm that girl, like, okay, let's go. Let's do this. So the rate of this, elevating the platform, going from, it was one Zoom call once a month to, conversations once a week.
Once a week, yeah. It's a commitment.
It is a commitment, but then it's opened so many cool doors. I mean, I get to sit across from people. I get to sit in the same room.
Yeah.
And even leading up to, this conversation that we have on air, I get to have all of these great conversations, and really I get to learn about people in my community and what they stand for, and the person that really is behind the entrepreneur and the business. Yeah. Which I think is beautiful. I'm such a nerd.
Pull the curtain back a little bit. So what do you stand for, Jen? What kind of drives you on a daily basis? Some
courage.
Of the core values.
My word and courage. Being a mom, but then also knowing it's not just me. Like there's something bigger out there than me, that I definitely go out of my way. I tap into in the mornings, through meditation and movement, and then I go from there. So, I mean, that's...
See what the day brings.
See what the day brings, and it's just an evolution. You know, I've got all this that is on my plate, and it's not all my doing. It's because I'm willing to say yes. And then you just go with it, you know, and it takes me down some really great paths, and it's been on some great journeys. Yeah.
I think that's great. Courage, that's awesome. You said your word, which would kind of suggest, you know, integrity, do what you say. And
for sure.
You know, I think, and not to oversimplify, but in many instances, I think just doing what you say will put you head and shoulders above, you know, most of the folks running around out there.
Well, and you don't realize how busy everybody is. And I mean, this is a great sales, you know, I'm like, everybody says in sales, you've got to have a thick skin. You've got to have a thick skin because you're going to have 10 no's to that one yes.
Right.
And if you really step back and if you look at it from an even bigger, broader perspective, like those aren't no's, like they're just really that busy. Mm-hmm. Like, I mean, what? We put this on the calendar, you know, we put this on the calendar and said, okay, cool, 3 weeks out. And then we didn't revisit it until what, Friday? Monday?
Friday. Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I think it was Friday.
So it's it really is.
You just get caught up in your own
everybody.
stuff.
I mean, I think Oscar and I have talked about it on Ninja Communications on his show about we live in such like cylindrical lives, you know, like I'm in this cylinder, like I've got, you know, I'm shooting for these goals and I'm aiming for this and, you know, here's my ladder and my steps I'm going to take. Well, I've got to merge with somebody else in their cylinder, you know, and how do you do that? And how do you make that work?
Right.
I think that's life.
To a degree, yeah.
To a degree, that's life. But I also think, especially in business, that's why you just can't take it personal because you're busy. I mean, how many things do you have going on? You know,
more than I can handle, I'm sure. Just like you.
From a road trip, and you know, there's family time, and there's that, and there's, you know, building and growing, and there's a lot. And it's okay that there's a lot.
Right.
It really is okay. I think that is what I am learning about, you know, this new world. It's the lifestyle, you know. It's okay to not just have on a business hat, and it's not a 9-to-5 gig anymore.
No, it's not Monday through Friday, not 8 to 5.
No.
Yeah, it's all the time. So on the last show, we a number of funny moments, like a priest walking into a bar and other stuff. But one of the funny moments that sticks out in my head
did that go?
is whenever you said, you know, helping me bring out my inner goddess or something like that. Yeah. So how do you do that for your clients, bringing out their goddess or whatever form that is?
Standing in your power. Yes. Yeah. I mean, it doesn't matter, man, woman, you know, goddess is great because we all have an inner goddess. Well, I learned more about men and just I love it the way that y'all think. It's like, oh, y'all really are not that much different than we are. It's just is in a different package. Like, because I don't, you know, society is
unpack that a little bit.
Yeah.
Unpack that for me a little bit. So you don't think there's that much of a difference in kind of the way we think? You're speaking about male versus female, right?
I'm talking about business-wise, let's say, too. Yeah. Relationship-wise, even. You know, I mean, because business is about building relationships.
Oh, it absolutely is.
You know, parenting, all of this. You know, I'm like, there's really that. It doesn't matter if you have a son or a daughter. Like, there's that base core value of, you know, respect, and you build on that. And then, I think we all kind of want the same things. You know, we want an end goal, and we want to know what that end goal is. And that requires communication so that I know what your end goal is and how you think that you're going to get there. And then you know what my end goal is and how I think I'm going to get there. And then where can we meet, you know?
Yeah.
How can I elevate you, and how can we both go along?
Right. So you mentioned there an end goal and how you get there. We talked a little bit, I think, before we came on air about how that can be a twisty, kind of turny unexpected
It's like the
journey.
It's like you wake up in the morning with your to-do list.
Right. And often just add to it and not really take anything off sometimes, right?
Yes, for sure. And sometimes I love it when I'm like, okay, well, that's a to-do. Like, that's a 1 line item, and it really is like a 5 line item. I'm like, oh, I thought I was going to. Oh, you mean that's like a month-long conversation? I mean,
right.
Things don't always go as fast as we want them to, or idealize them that they can be in fairyland.
Well, and I think so, throughout my career, and last time, we talked about, how I spent a bunch of time in corporate, and I've been through all kinds of personality assessments, and,
right.
Stuff like that. And one of the things that I became aware of about myself through those processes is that, you mentioned that the end goal, and I tend to become very hyper-focused on getting there.
Mm-hmm.
When that twisty, turny journey, that's where a lot of learning happens, where, opportunities can present themselves. And like with you, I mean, you got a bunch of irons in the fire, different stuff going on. And a lot of that, I would imagine, came out of a journey toward a desired goal. Is that accurate?
True? Yeah. Yes.
Whether it's a person you met or, a potential business opportunity, and
even just, out of a desire to serve. And then what does that look like? I was having this conversation. On Facebook, it was like, are you A, B, or C? Like, do you want to read the book? Or do you want to listen to the book? Or do you want to listen to an interview with the author of the book?
Yeah. I think I saw that post.
Yeah.
What was yours?
I'm totally C. Like,
okay.
I don't forget the book. I'm glad you wrote it, but thanks for putting your thoughts in order. Now let's have a conversation.
Tell me what you said in the book, what you wrote in the book.
But it's the nuances that you get and that you glean, and the insight that you glean from those conversations that I think are invaluable.
That personal, kind of physical interaction.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely a C, but I was funny. All the people like A, and I'm like, I can't tell you the last time I've sat down and read a book.
I think I've probably got 6 or 7 books going right now.
That you're actually, so you're kind of, but
I'm not reading any of them. I have read some of them, but like one's sitting on my desk or one's on the nightstand, and I don't know. Lately, I've had a problem just getting through. I used to read a lot, but now I'll pick something up and just kind of get a little bit into it and kind of lose interest. No,
I would much rather put it on my earbuds and go for a walk.
Okay.
Yeah. And even just 15, 20 minutes. I mean, you can get a lot done. 15, 20 minutes. I got my exercise in. I walked my dog.
Multitasking.
And I learned something.
Yeah.
Well, I learned something, and then I've probably learned something that I'm going to take and use later on in strategy. And now it's ingrained because I'm moving with it too.
Yeah.
So there's something to be said for all of those elements, guys, when you're learning and when you're just trying to figure stuff out. And that's being in the flow.
Yeah.
So we'll
interesting.
Revisit that.
Yeah, I want to come back to that.
We'll come back to that right after this. You guys, thank you so much. You're watching The Edgy Entrepreneur. I'm your host, Jen Coleman-Ayers, on Edge Radio TV, and we'll be right back after this quick break.
Edge Radio TV is holding auditions for new show hosts. Are you a subject matter expert, professional, influencer, book author, thought leader, or business owner with an educational or motivational platform? Then we want to meet you. Send a link of some of your work to edgeradio20@gmail.com and be sure to put audition in the subject line. Join the Edge Radio TV family. Edge TV, because truth still matters.
Aren't you tired of not getting what you want in bed?
Are you ready to spice things up behind those closed doors?
Woo! We're here for you every hump day at 7 p.m.
This is Sex on the Edge with Jen and Hen. I'm Jennifer Reeves.
And I'm Hendrik Scott, and we are professional licensed sex therapists.
So remember to watch us Wednesday at 7 p.m. on Edge Radio TV, just in time for sexy time.
Are you a small business owner concerned about the downturn in the economy? Top business leaders like Mattress Mac and Warren Buffett will tell you that now is the time to promote your business more than ever. People need your services. Your business needs an edge. Learn about special advertising packages for small businesses right here on Edge Radio. Find out more, give us a call at 281-744-0446. That's 281-744-0446. Edge, because truth still matters.
Welcome back, my Edgy Entrepreneurs. You're watching the Edgy Entrepreneur Show. I'm your host, Jen Coleman-Ayers, and today I have my guest host and special guest, Rob Smith, who's kind of turning the tables, but it's
we're learning more about you.
Been a cool evolution of conversation for sure.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, when we checked out before the break, you were talking about, you like the audio or listening to an interview with an author rather than reading the book. And it's interesting. I was listening to a podcast on my way down this morning. It's Mark Henderson Leary. I don't know if you know Mark. He's an EOS implementer here around town. Anyway, he had this really interesting guest, Ronsley Vaz, and he's been doing a podcast for 6 or 7 years.
That's just a cool name.
Yeah, he's got a cool accent too. I think he's from Australia. But
okay.
But they were talking about the various mediums, and obviously video has been big. Lots of people have YouTube channels and stuff like that. We're doing video right now.
We're doing video. We're on all the platforms.
Yeah,
so.
People post videos to LinkedIn and stuff like that
as
a medium. But Ronsley and Mark were talking about the audio and wondering kind of out loud and with each other through conversation why podcasts have become so popular. Ronsley threw out this stat that in March of 2020, there were like 1 million podcasts or something on Apple or Spotify, whatever platform.
Okay.
Maybe it was collectively, but kind of the punchline was in last month there were 2 million.
Oh.
So in a year it's doubled. I mean that's pretty big magnitude. But kind of putting a bow on this, but I know I'm taking a long way around it. Their theory was that audio and podcasts are so popular, maybe why you would rather listen to an interview or a book on tape, is audio is really the only medium that you can absorb while you're doing something else.
Right.
Whether it's walking the dog, like you said, or exercising, maybe straightening up the house or cleaning out the garage. You can listen while you're
feel productive while you're being productive.
Exactly. You can learn something new or gain some different perspective while you're doing other things. So it's that was I guess their theory as to why it was so popular, because you can do other stuff. I was driving down here and listening to a podcast.
And absolutely. Mine's constantly going. Either my podcast or my YouTube channel is constantly, something's going, or my TV's on YouTube, or learning something. Interesting though, out of that, so reading the book, listening to the book on the audio, or an interview with the author, so I guess in that I follow people that I admire and relate to the questions that they ask.
Okay.
So I have a couple really good podcasts and YouTubers that I'm like, oh, I would have asked that question. That would have been me. And so I get in there, it kind of digs in on a deeper level. Okay, well, what did you mean by that opening paragraph on page whatever? So what's the story behind that? Yeah. So you get that realism, but then you also you absorb the situation, the perspective as well. So I think it's a little more in depth.
Interesting.
I like people.
So through the twists and turns and things like that, and we talked a little bit about this with me last time I was on, but living the edgy entrepreneurial life is not for the faint of heart. There's always something that gets thrown in the road or in your way.
Yes.
I mean, how do you personally kind of deal with the journey and the things that are the obstacles that present themselves?
People, support systems. We had talked, most of us have a coach or a mentor. I'm fortunate enough that my coach and my mentor is, my dad, my cousin, my mom, my daughters. I mean, I
have some amazing young ladies.
I learned
there.
so much from them. They mentor me just in the way that they handled day-to-day situations in high school, y'all. I'm like, yes.
High school's tough. High school's tough.
Well, that's where you learn everything you need to know in life. And yes, y'all leave that shit behind you, because that really was high school. Like, it was, I tell my girls, I'm like, it's sandpaper. Like, those people that you don't like, those teachers that you don't like, they're all teaching you something about life and the journey that you're headed into. I mean, you're going to figure out how, how to be nice to the lunch lady, and how to, how to interact with all different people in different, from the principal down to the janitor. I mean, these are all people you're interacting with in high school right there in your melting pot.
Yeah.
Not to mention all the demographics from the students and the student body.
I never really thought about it like that. I think there's a lot of power and philosophy.
Oh,
you just said.
It's a game. I think that's part of, for me, everything's a game. I mean, it really is. Like, the Edgy Entrepreneur is about finding the fun in life. And that's not find the fun. It's not a flighty aspect. It's no, dig in, ask questions, really understand it. I mean, to me, that is the fun is, when you can get down and you feel that connection with somebody, and you know that they've just touched your world. That's what it's really about.
I would not disagree with that. Because I think, people do business with the people that they know, they like, and they trust.
Yes.
Right. And I don't think any entrepreneur out there is doing this alone, first of all.
Right.
But I think those that are the most successful have those people around them that they enjoy, working with, or tapping into for advice here and there, and that kind of thing. I think it really is about the people. I think that's a great answer.
And what I think is so funny about that even is you find out that those conversations that you have, that they had the same questions. And they may be having they may be at the same juncture in their business.
Yeah.
They've just leveled up, because it is all about just rinse and repeat. You learn something, you apply it, you level up your income, and then you just do it again. You pull that ripcord, you walk into the fear, you face it, and it's just the evolution.
So do you use that kind of same principle in your coaching practice with your clients? I mean, teaching them how to tap into the resources? I'm just curious.
Yes, absolutely.
So that's how you would help a potential client through an adverse situation.
For sure. And there's so many tools. I think we were talking, there are 1,000 different coaches that I know. I've probably got close to 4,000 friends on my Facebook. I would say 1,000 of them are easily coaches, or in some aspect
some form of coaching, coaching,
whether it's business
coaching.
to building or podcasts. They're teaching people how to do shows. They're teaching people how to, everybody's coaching and everybody's teaching and everybody's selling something. Mm-hmm. Totally forgot where I was going with that.
Well, let me just ask you a question about that. Given that, coaches are stacked like cordwood around town, how do you break out of that?
Break out.
And kind of
differentiate yourself.
We were talking about this earlier. Every coach that I know is different. Maybe they're more finance driven, or maybe, something else.
Yeah, but you need a coach so that you know what coach you need to hire.
There you go.
There are a million questions. When I hired my first coach, it was a relationship. She had things in the community that I admired. So that was what I went after. Now a little more seasoned, and it's different. It's structured. So life coach, business coach, mentor, you need somebody there. You need that accountability.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to have somebody like,
it's going to hold your feet to the fire and make sure
yes,
you do what you say.
Yes. And I have some amazing power hours with some friends. We set that time aside on the calendar so that we're like, okay, 10 days or a week from now, like, this is what I'm going to have done. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, have you done it? No, but this is why. And then we strategize and revisit.
Okay.
That's just life, though.
True.
My high school kids are doing the same thing. Okay, yes, well, you had a hard time working 24 hours that week. Okay, let's try for 18,
Yeah.
It's just always about revisiting and going at it. But you just got to keep going.
Yeah, even if you have to readjust, realign, maybe throttle back a goal or something like that, because, think of it, it's kind of a battle plan, right? And the first death on the battlefield is the battle plan.
Then the next one home.
Exactly. But you just got to be willing to realign.
Sorry, George, this sucks to be you. I'm like, just step on you and keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really is. And I think that was what was so beautiful about starting the Edgy Entrepreneur show in 2021. I have in my bio now. I put it out. It was a win for me.
Oh, yeah.
2020 was a win because I got to create, something that is a passion project of mine. This has evolved from helping people, kind of get out of the funk, to being able to have amazing conversations with some really cool people.
Yeah.
So we'll talk more about those conversations on the flip side when we come back from this short break. So we'll see you on the flip side, my edgy entrepreneurs.
The Natural Nation Network is really about taking control of your health physically, spiritually, emotionally, even intellectually, because there's so much out there in misinformation. There's a lot of people now that are suffering from all sorts of diseases that they really wouldn't have to suffer for if they had better information. And that's what we're here to do. Provide information that can save lives.
The mind and the body are totally connected.
Health can be really serious, and sometimes we just have to lighten it up a little bit while we're still providing substantive information. And my sort of mantra on the salsa dance floor is kind of similar. I tell somebody, if you make a mistake twice, it becomes a move. Okay.
Tune into Natural Nation every Tuesday at 11 a.m.
Hey y'all, I'm Robin B.
And I'm Dr. Kiva.
And we just want to know
how you living?
Join us every Monday
at noon Central Standard Time
here on Edge Radio TV. Take care.
When people stop talking to each other, society is on the edge. Let's bring them back. Edge Radio, because truth still matters.
Welcome back, my edgy entrepreneurs. Thank you so much for joining us on Edge Radio TV. I'm your host, Jen Colmenares, and you're watching the Edgy Entrepreneur Show with friend and guest, Rob Smith. And we were just
guest turned interviewers.
Yeah. All along on this quantum ride.
Well, you were telling me during the break kind of your vision for this format. I think you should share some of that, I think, with the viewers, because
I don't know if I can do that with a straight face and not cry. So
give me your best shot.
No, I would just love what this has turned into is just all of these cool conversations with people that are changing. They're changing our community. They're changing our community one family at a time, one business at a time. And there are miracles that happen out there every day. And I would love to ultimately see the Edgy Entrepreneur as, a mentorship to mentor others so that they can go out and they can have cool conversations with others that are in the community that are witnessing, that are reaffirming the fact that miracles are happening every day. That a
lot of good stuff.
Of good stuff happens. You don't have to watch the news. You don't have to go down that rabbit hole. You don't have to. You don't have to get entangled in. I call them pendulums. Like they're just this giant swing, whether it's a political party or vaccinations or you should do this. You just can't get caught up.
Are you thinking? Like a message or maybe like I don't know. That's the pendulum though?
The pendulum would be like how something is swinging in the mainstream.
And how that's being fed into the culture, the society.
Yes.
And I guess how it shapes it, really. Kind of
how you allow it.
The narrative.
I mean, really kind of how you allow it, I joke with people, and if you hang out with me, I'm like, not in my world, not today, not in my world, because it's really, I'm not going to give that attention. Like there's nothing I can do about it. I'm going to focus on the good and the change that I can be in this world. And man, I think if everybody did that, what a magical and what a powerful voice.
I've heard so much about that particular thing here recently. I think there's a movement kind of gaining momentum about around that, because look, there's lots of stuff happening in the world every day, good, bad, whatever, but you're probably the third or fourth person I've heard in the last few weeks say just I'll paraphrase, but just make your corner of the world a little better.
Yes.
Every day. And if everybody did that,
yeah,
it really doesn't matter who's sitting in the White House or
no.
It really doesn't matter.
Right.
Just do what you can to make your little piece of the world a little better every day, and everything will be just fine.
Right. And I think that for me, that circles back into mindfulness.
Okay.
For sure, that circles back into mindfulness, and that I start my day every day in being mindful in meditation, so that I'm connecting, and I know that when I'm doing this, or when I'm out networking, or if whatever I'm doing, then I'm coming from a place of love. I want to make the world a better place, and I can do that by immediately affecting who is in my vicinity.
In your circle. Yeah.
I love being the person that walks in and lights up a room. I'm like, oh, and there she is. I love that.
I've seen that happen.
I know. And then my parents are like, oh, there she goes. No. No, but I mean, it's just fun. But I love bringing that out in people as well. You know, it is fun to... It's fun, and that's part of my challenge with a conversation with somebody, is really like you did to me. Like I want to see the tears. Like I want to touch that button. I want to tap into your heart. I really want to find out who the person is behind. What makes you an authority.
What drives their behavior, their actions, their passion.
Yes. Yeah. Now you,
awesome.
I love, like you said, you're sitting in the driveway and you're like, okay, guys, like,
gotta go sign a piece of paper. Are we all in or are we all out? Yeah.
I mean, that is what it's all about.
Yeah.
I mean, that is life changing in your universe. I mean, that decision right there was life changing for you and your wife and your kids.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's that.
So in these interesting conversations that you've had since you started the Edgy Entrepreneur, we talked a little bit about how maybe it's changed or shifted or, it's evolving, let's say.
Yes.
So can you share a couple of, I don't know, things that stick out in your head, like whether it was something you learned or from somebody or something that one of your guests said that really kind of resonated with you? I'm putting you on the spot. I
know.
That.
Well, and totally, like what comes to mind, and I haven't had him on as a guest, but I'm sure everyone's kind of seen snippets. It's Emilio. He has the driving academy.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you were telling me about him earlier. Yeah.
Yes. That was of course, I mean, who doesn't want to drive a race car, y'all?
Yeah.
I mean, that was like
cool
on so many levels. But I really think the coolest part, like the next weekend after I had that introduction to really what he does and what his passion is, his passion is educating people on driving. So their safety, But then also the next weekend, he messaged me and was like, hey, I'm giving driving lessons to a 19-year-old who has some mental, like he would never drive otherwise or be in
like
a
a
car.
phobia or a fear or?
No, like autistic or
right.
somewhere on the spectrum.
Okay.
But yeah, who would never, and then now he gets to drive a race car. I mean,
I've never driven a race car.
I know.
That's pretty cool.
I mean, so forget the Prius, but yeah, I'm like, there's a joke there too.
Yeah, there's a joke there.
Forget the Prius, but yes, to just how touching that is. I mean, he really is taking his passion and his knowledge and his education, and he's able, I wouldn't sit with I don't even like to teach my daughters to drive, y'all. So, I mean, that really is a gift that he has to be able to offer
He's
that. Sharing that. And that's what I'm loving about these conversations and how the Edgy Entrepreneur, the path that it's taking, it's, I get to expose this, the man behind behind the business or the woman behind the business, like what really drives you.
Okay. That's cool.
Yes. It's my favorite part.
So we were talking about a question that I had, kind of on the list of things that I wanted to ask you today.
The one you stole.
The one that I stole. Actually, hey, we talked about
you just borrow it and then, yes.
I started my career as an engineer, and all engineers are just idea stealers, honestly. So
it's all out there already. So it's in the quantum field. It's all fair game.
I recorded a podcast on Monday with a nice lady that I met through Vistage. She's got her own like lead gen company up in the Northeast, Nancy Calabrese.
Cool.
And one of the questions that she shot me prior to our podcast that I couldn't answer.
And you're a ponderer.
Yeah, it stumped me. And I just had to come clean with her. I'm like, don't ask me that.
You're like, don't ask me that one because I don't know.
Answer.
And here I'm like, go ahead, ask it.
Nancy,
we'll talk about it.
if you're tuning in, I'm stealing this question.
Hi, Nancy.
And the question is, tell me something you think is true that most people will disagree with you on.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, something that's true, but most people would, something that's true for you, but most people would disagree with.
That you got to slow down to get ahead.
Wow. You actually just.
Bam. Well,
I've spent days.
I'm like, I knew if you asked me that I would come up with something on this. I'm so much better on this spot. Don't give me time.
Impressed.
Yeah, you got to, I forget what I actually just said, honestly. That's how on the spot. To get ahead.
To get ahead. All right.
Slow down to get ahead.
Us.
I mean, like everything that we've been talking about, we can go, but if we're driving it and if we're forcing it, we're putting a square peg in a round hole. And you really have to stop and step back so that one, you can evaluate your situation and you can look at it. I mean, you've got to stop whether it's weekly, you're looking at your calendar, or quarterly, definitely you've got to stop and reevaluate so that you can redirect and know where you're going. And then just in life, I think learned on the golf course, I'm like, the harder you try to hit that ball,
Yeah, I can relate. I'm a crappy golfer, but yeah.
I'm a really crappy golfer until I'm like, okay, just relax. Like, eye on the prize. That's where I want to hit the ball. Don't worry about what's going on out here. Hit it. I'm going there with it, and whack, and there it is. When you just
don't
flow
try too
into
hard.
it, when you don't try too hard.
Yeah.
So, and you? Have you come up with one yet?
I still have not. I'm a failure.
Absolutely not.
I'll check back in with you.
Yeah, you got to slow down to get ahead. I like
slow
that.
Down to get ahead. That was a good one. You came up with it so quickly.
It's the flow. In the mornings I can jump out of bed and jump into the day, but my day is so much better when I step out of bed and remember who I am and tune into why I'm here, what my purpose is.
Do you typically carve out a chunk of time? I think you may have alluded to this earlier, and maybe it just didn't stick with me. But I mean, do you have kind of Jen time in the morning where you don't really do anything? But...
I call it my habit stack. Yeah, I have my whole my happy habit stack.
All right. Well, what's Jen's happy habit stack?
Because and Jen's not happy if something. It evolves. I mean, as my knowledge grows and as I learn new things, definitely meditation, but that practice evolves. It evolves from walking 15-minute meditations to learning to tapping in to, EFT, like we talked about, morning mantras. Just the more that I learn, the more I kind of put in. But for sure, I mean, I don't go anywhere. The first hour, easy. The first hour of my day is just mine. That's
cool. I need to adopt something like that, because that podcast that I mentioned that I was listening to on the way down here, that kind of the tagline was something to the effect of why boredom is so important to an entrepreneur.
Ah, yes.
And what the guest of Mark's, how he defined boredom was kind of that meditation time, that time. So in like the EOS implementer world, they call it a clarity break. And you just set aside an amount of time, whether it's weekly, daily, whatever works for you, where you just don't do anything. You don't have a phone. Maybe you got a cup of coffee. You don't have a newspaper or an iPad that you're reading on. You're just
you build your dream in your head.
You're just bored.
Yeah.
Right. And that's how they label it. I thought it was kind of clever and kind of catchy. But in that time, you can solve a lot of problems, whether it's personal, professional, whatever it may be, just by being still.
Yeah, absolutely. And dreaming. Yeah. Careful with that time. Mm-hmm. Make sure you're using it productively. You're not going backwards, with your mindfulness, that you're building your dreams, that you're focused on your goals. And I call it dream casting. Yeah. Vision casting and dream casting, because if you don't know where you're going, then how are you going to get there?
Right.
And if you don't dream big, then, I mean, what fun is that?
You gotta be having fun, that's for sure.
Yes, absolutely. So we're about out of time. Okay. Honestly, I'm like, we're that good.
Yeah, flew by.
It does fly by. So
thanks for sharing. I think with the audience.
Absolutely.
Hopefully you enjoyed having the tables turned on you, and
it is
getting
nice
to talk a little bit more about Jen.
It is
on
nice
your own show
to be able, because I get to tell people, in a conversation, oh, that's interesting. How did that happen? So it's still happening. And I'm like, there's no happened. It's still happening. Where can people find you?
You can find me on LinkedIn. You can find me on the web.
You are good on LinkedIn. Yes.
Thank you. You can call me.
Clubhouse. So we're gonna we'll revisit that. So this is a regular thing that we're gonna do.
Third Thursdays.
Third Thursday. So you can catch the Edgy Entrepreneur Show 10 o'clock on Thursdays. I am Jen Coleman-Ayers, the Edgy Entrepreneur, and you can find me at jencolemanayers.com or at Jen Coleman-Ayers. That's 2 N's. You guys, until next week, go out and be the change that this world needs.